5.
On board with myself, Scott, and Brian on camera. As Mark would have told you, it's a chilly morning, so we're all bundled up with jackets, but looking forward to the adventure. And great news that Mark's got some male leopard tracks in his area. And that's the beauty of splitting up, is that already in just a few minutes Mark had found something that I hadn't found, because we had headed in opposite directions. We've looped around and we're going to try and give Mark a hand following up on these leopard tracks, and hopefully our leopard luck will improve today and share one with you. We have also checked the hyena den sites. Brian and I have just left there and it was not active. There's actually a lot of tracks of hyena going up and down this road, but they do cover huge distances every evening, hoping to find a meal to either hunt for themselves or scavenge. Now, we might pop into the hyena den site later, once it's warmed up, and maybe the adults will only be returning from their night out in the next hour or so. But we have checked there in the hope that we'd see them. We also haven't had a huge amount of luck with the hyena den sites over the last couple of days. Even though we have been popping in fairly regularly, we have not found it active. The cubs will be there hiding in the burrow, but without the adults there, they tend to hide away. And Aubrey is also out. Aubrey is one of the guides from Galago and Vuyatela camps, which are the two Djuma camps, and he's also searching. So far there's 3 of us on the prowl, and it'll be interesting to see if the Nkuhuma Pride have come back onto our property. We got a brief glimpse of them last night, but they were heading north away from us. And I got a report late last night, just before we closed down, that Aubrey had found a very large herd of buffaloes to the north of us in the Buffelshoek property, and the lion were heading straight towards them. Now, the great thing about a large herd of buffalo for a pride of lion is that there's all different shapes and sizes of buffalo to choose from. Whereas here on Djuma at the moment, we've just got mainly a lot of big old bulls, which are one of the hardest prey items for lions to take down. Whereas young buffaloes or old females make for easier targets. So maybe they got lucky with the buffalo hunt last night. So I'm sure we will hear an update on the radio once the vehicles on that part of the reserve start searching. But we haven't heard anyone there yet. Mark, come in.
Go ahead, Scott.
Any luck with those tracks?
I didn't follow them, Scott. I thought you were going to go back to them. I'm on both of that line.
Okay, perfect. I am heading back to them. Where were the last tracks that you had?
He came out onto the road that leads from Eggersheim down to Twin Dams, Weaver's Nest Road. He was coming up. He touched on the road, and I think he only walked on the road for a short bit.
Okay, copy, thank you. Well, that's our plan. We are going to head to the last tracks that Mark had and see if we don't get lucky. There was apparently a report of a leopard calling at about 5:45 from the Djuma waterhole cam. I've ever sent that report to. Thank you very much. And it's very possible that it was a leopard that was calling, but there is also a slight chance that it could have been impala rutting. The sound that an impala makes when it is rutting can be quite similar to a leopard. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that it could be the case. But thank you very much for sending that report through. And let's hope we get lucky. This morning's a great morning because it is very cold relative to what we've been used to, and this may in fact help us, especially with bird sightings. I'm predicting that we are going to have opportunities to show you some close-up shots on birds sunning themselves, basking in this morning sun, trying to warm up. So that is what I'm hoping to find. Okay folks, well, it sounds like there was an audio problem when Mark said good morning to all of you, so you couldn't hear anything he was saying, so he's going to have a second crack at it now, and we will catch up with you a little bit later.
Good morning all again, and welcome to Djuma, welcome to the northern part of Djuma Game Reserve here in the Sabi Sands. My name is Mark, and well, I was saying hello earlier, but you have to have been lip reading. We're at Buffelshoek Dam. We're about to go and have a look and see what's around the dam. I'm hoping we find some tracks while we're driving around looking for animals. It's a mixture of things that we look for. Viam is on camera with me, and hope you're going to enjoy the morning with us. So far, not too much happening. I do have to say thank you to Zoomies who have mentioned noises around the dam last night, and interesting that Deborah mentioned that there was leopard sawing early this morning around 5ish, and well, there were leopard tracks very close to the house where the crew sleep over. Looks like he might have walked past, but he might even be outside the house right now. And also sounds of impala alarming, so I'm sure there's a cat there somewhere. But we're up at Buffelshoek Dam, so we're going to have a look around in this area. This is up in the north, close to the northeastern boundary, or our northeastern corner. Lovely blue skies. It's a beautiful morning, beautiful sunrise. Live sunrise drive. Temperature is around 17 degrees, 62 degrees Fahrenheit, 17 Celsius. And that comes from anonymous online sources. I will not reveal my sources. Mushroom sauce, garlic sauce. This is the approach to Buffelshoek Dam. This is probably one of the deepest dams that we have throughout the whole of Djuma. There are basically 4 dams that we have access to, Buffelshoek Dam being perhaps the biggest and deepest. Djuma Dam, or Gari Waterhole, Djuma Waterhole, Gari Dam. It's a very long dam. It's a lot longer than Buffelshoek Dam, but it's not as deep. And that's why we have to have more hippo activity here than we do at Djuma Waterhole when it's not so deep anymore. But I think being as deep as it is, this dam is also important for elephants because the water stays cleaner for longer. Stop over and have a look what's around. I can already see one hippo. Pair of Egyptian geese on the other side as well. Early morning sounds are probably one of the most special times of the day. There's hyenas still calling in the distance. Did you pick up the hyena? Getting a little bit. It's down south. It's this drainage line that we have the dam wall on, which creates the dam, runs down into the Milwaukee, and it's about there somewhere that hyena is calling from. Probably making its way back to the den. But the day waking up is an incredible time of the day. The sounds are a symphony. I think let's continue our drive and see what's moving around the northeastern part of Djuma. Must be something here somewhere. I just heard two parrots flying overhead. Brown-headed parrots, the only parrots that we get here. And at this time of the year, they're probably going to be eating a lot of this bush willow seed. This is one of the bush willows, and if I take one of the seeds, I'll show you, you can see it's a winged pod. This has got 4 wings, and the Combretum family have anything from 3 to 7 wings on their pods, or actually 2 to 7, because the terminalias are also Combretum family, and they've got a 2-winged pod. But the parrots open it up, and they get to the actual seed inside, which I guess will eventually become like a nut. get in and eat them, but they're probably quite rich in tannin. Not probably, they are rich in tannin. So they get bitter after a while. I was hearing this hyena now. Evidently just before then there were other hyenas calling. This hyena must have also been heard on the dam cam, but thanks to Siberia for the info that you also heard hyena calling only a couple of minutes ago. Maybe our engine was still running. Just thought I'd come to this side of the dam to see if there are any tracks around this side. No tracks, no cats. On we go. Let's go over to Scott. While I'm looking for something, I think Scott's got something for you.
Welcome back. No major updates yet. We found one hornbill sunning itself close to the vehicle, but it didn't stick around as I predicted. And I'm sure we're going to find some other birds sunning themselves as we go along. Still making our way back to the last tracks that Mark had of a male leopard. But we're taking our time because I don't want to drive over any tracks on our way there, and we are already in the general area where that leopard could be. Judging from what Mark told me about where the tracks were heading. So that is our goal for now, to find these tracks. Sometimes you get lucky and just bump into the animal without even tracking them. So that will also be accepted by us, of course. Just like yesterday, for example, we very fortunately bumped into the Nkohuma Pride of Land with absolutely no skill involved. They were just on the road right in front of us. Most of the time, however, it does require a lot of time and concentration to try and pin down where these animals have moved and where they're hiding. And it's something that I love doing. A lot of people wonder why we don't just have radio transmitters on all of the animals to provide us with their locations. But that would certainly detract from the experience, because searching for them is, I think, most of the fun. We will be arriving at the Djuma Dam shortly, and it'll be interesting to see what's happening there. morning like this, I'm not expecting there to be too much activity quite yet. When it does heat up, it may increase in terms of the visitors we could expect to see there. And I am aware of an update that Siberia, the Zoomy, who controls the woodhole camera, heard some hyena vocalizing nearby. So maybe we'll find some hyena here, which would be great. Maybe we'll be able to follow them back to the den site, as we did check it earlier and there was nobody home. Found the birds that are best seen in winter sunning themselves early in the morning, and they're very pretty birds. So get ready to see a very parrot-like bird, but it's not actually a parrot, it just has colorations like one. This is going to be absolutely awesome. They're sitting in a dead tree just up ahead of us. And I just want to get us into a good position where we can enjoy a wonderful view of these birds. So there's 4 of them, a little flock. And these are the African green pigeon that are extremely ruffled up. They extend their feathers so that they have an increased layer of insulation, so they're all puffed up now and look a little bit bigger than they normally are. They've got beautiful colorations and little bright blue eyes. And in summer we really battle to see these birds because they are quite secretive and often hide out in the canopies of the fruit trees that they feed on. They're fruit-eating pigeons. And very, very pretty birds. And in Afrikaans they're actually called papegaai duif, which means a parrot dove, which is a good description, I think, because they do look quite similar to parrots. And well done to RC in the Netherlands, even though I didn't actually put out a formal quiz as to which bird this was. RC in the Netherlands quickly ID'd it and sent the correct name of this bird through to the final control. And if anybody, excuse me, would like to send questions through to either Mark or myself, it's very easy. You just hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Well, I think these green pigeons are going to be sitting here for another half an hour or so before they get active, so we will leave them to bask in the sunshine and we will carry on. I'm really interested to get a closer look at these leopard tracks and start the process of trying to track it down. The Djuma waterhole, and there's quite a lot of bird life around, and if you would like to carry on seeing what's going on here, it's quite easy. There's a live waterhole camera here at Djuma, and you can watch what's going on 24 hours a day. It sounds like the Zoomy controlling the live waterhole cam has been following our vehicle, and I wonder if it can still see us. We will give a wave, complimentary wave, and thank you for all your hard work to all the Zoomies, but I believe it is Siberia who is currently controlling the camera. Got a question through from Gloria on Twitter. Good morning, Gloria, and thanks for sending your question through. Now, Gloria's question obviously stems from the fact that we got a report there of hyena audio being heard from this waterhole cam, and I think Mark also heard some hyena audio. And Gloria would like to know, how far away can you hear a hyena calling from? And at least 3 or 4 miles, but it does depend on a number of variables. The one which is makes difficult determining how far animals are away when they call is simply which direction they're facing. Because if they're facing away from you or towards you, it makes a very noticeable difference, understandably. And then the terrain, the vegetation, the wind will all impact how well you could possibly hear an animal, but their calls are very loud. So even to the human ear, they can be heard from a long way off. Now in winter, that there's not much vegetation, or not as much vegetation as there is in the summer, the audio travels further, and on a still morning like today, it'll be prime listening conditions. We're approaching the road where Mark had the leopard tracks, so that's good news, and from there I'm looking forward to trying to decipher the puzzle as to exactly what this leopard has done. It's actually moving very close to the camp where some of us stay. The team is split up into 2 at the moment, as we've had to reshuffle accommodation here at Djuma. So half the team are over at Manyeleti and the other half are here. But for the half who stay here, it was close to us that the leopard was moving last night, essentially on our driveway. Now I'm just going to jump out and check this intersection for any tracks, and we'll take it from there.
Go ahead. You're locked in. Yeah, positive is 3 figure at the moment. Okay, good. Thanks. It's fine. I'll do a loop maybe. Yeah. No rush. Okay, copy. Yeah, I don't think we're going to be much longer, but you're welcome to come here. They're far apart and they're very settled if you want. Okay, could be thanks. Aubrey, come in. Go ahead. Well, that's the two timbers are up there with those guys.
Okay, well, through the process of elimination, we've established that the leopard was not exactly here.
One more go, okay, copy. The tracks of both of them coming up to the coastline. Okay, copy. Yeah, I don't know what they did. Some of them is still in the classes.
Well, it sounds like Aubrey's found something, and Mark's chatting with them, so that's good news. Mark knows what's going on there. I don't at the moment, but we'll carry on with our task here. A question through from Penny in Texas. Morning, Penny. Penny would like to know if there's any rhino here, and there are indeed. But we don't show them because of the fact that they are poached heavily at the moment, and we don't want to contribute in any way to poachers knowing the whereabouts of these rhino. And Penny would like to know if I have ever seen rhino and elephant encounters, and yes, occasionally elephant bulls, especially the youngsters, may often chase off rhinos, but it's more a playful thing than anything else. And I have found these leopard tracks. They are heading up here, which is good news. And I also did hear hyena audio in this kind of general direction, looking at the drone. Who knows what could have happened? what we'll be doing is searching and scanning all over, up in the trees where a leopard could be lying up, especially on a cold morning. It may be lying in the tree, or again, like the birds, looking for warmth. Or it may have a kill up there that it's trying to hide away from hyena. Now, this leopard, our camp is probably 100 yards off to the right. You can't see it because the bush is quite thick, but it's very close by, and these leopard tracks are going straight up the road, straight past where we were sleeping last night. It'll be interesting to see what these tracks do, because I did check very carefully the road junction just ahead of us here as we left this morning, and there was no leopard tracks crossing through that I saw. I wonder what it's done. Now, there is a slight possibility that between the time that we drove across the road junction ahead of us, we may have been just ahead of the leopard, and it may have just slunk past between Mark and myself. That we'll be able to determine when we get up ahead, and we'll have to see if the leopard tracks are on top of our vehicle tracks, and then at least we'll know that we're quite close behind it. There's also the chance that I simply didn't see the tracks, which I'm hoping is not the case. And I'm gonna try my best to show you one of these leopard tracks. It is tricky because we can't move the camera off the vehicle. This one over here may be okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to circle a few of the tracks, and then Brian can take you through them.
Approaching the S-Street. So I think I'm
There's another two that are quite nice.
So it's no rush.
Well, I must be honest, I can't actually tell whether I missed these tracks this morning when I drove here, and I think I may have. So I got caught out and missed those tracks, but anyway, they are heading down towards the western side of the quarantine clearings, and we also just heard an elephant call across there, so we may bump into it, but we're going to focus on these tracks. And why don't you head over to Mark and we'll update you once we've found some more info. See you later.
Hi everybody, we're on Cheetah Cut Line, which is our eastern boundary road. It's quite soft sand here. Just coming back onto the side to show you that VM can try and point out for you some lion tracks of very big male, two in fact, very big male lions that are the Matimbas. So I've got a little bit of news to tell you, I suppose, having found these lion tracks now. The Nkuhumas were found earlier this morning on an airstrip northeast of Djuma, where we can't get there. And later on there was news of a male, one of the males being with them. And then I found these tracks of two males heading up. And I radioed that through, and Andrew's actually just found the other male approaching the... Oh, sorry, I thought you were looking at the track. I should be looking there. So Andrew's just found another male making his way to the airstrip. So it sounds like, and it would seem like, the two Matimbas have now joined up with the Nkuhumas, and they're just a little bit northeast of us. Unfortunately, we're not going to get to see them, but it's nice to know that they're there. And it's a good possibility that they might come our way. In the meantime, we are wandering around on the top of this ridge. Now, I was hoping that coming up onto this ridge would be a little bit more fruitful, because the temperature is a lot warmer up here than it is lower down in the drainage lines. It's a good few degrees warmer. Now look, here's some baby marula trees. There's one there. That's probably about a 3-year-old. And then just to the left of it, you can see those pale yellow leaves. The little one. Now, there's a tiny little one that's probably only about 2 years old. And then there's a bigger one. That one was probably even older, because it's got quite a thick stem. Looks like it was cut once upon a time. So there's a baby terminalia, but he has a slightly bigger marula. It's probably about 15 years old. Very slow growing. Most of the trees here are very slow growing. Here's another marula that's very young. I've got one about that size that's over 15 years old. That little one in front of the terminalia is that tiny little tree. Stands all of 3 feet high. Is going to become one of these one day, I hope. A very important tree in that it defines the biome that it lives in. It becomes one of the dominant trees. When you look at these sandy ridges, wherever we are on top of the ridges, they are dominated by big marula trees and big knobthorns. Here are two more lovely big marulas on our left, and further on 2 big knobthorns. And it's their shade and their presence that dictates pretty much what else goes on around here. And of course, hoping to find some things in these marula trees. Now, there are a couple of species of reptiles that live in the trees, the biggest of which are, of course, the white-throated monitors, the cousins to the Nile monitors, which in turn are cousins to the Komodo dragons and the goannas and other monitors of the rest of the world. There are also beautiful blue-headed agamas, big lizards with bright blue heads. The males have not quite this blue, but it's blue heads. There's a torchwood. I saw that barbet go in there. There's a drongo there now. There seems to be a little bird party at... Let's see how many birds we can identify here.
Good day.
I just have to ask these guys to talk softer. So, what have we got? Did we get them? There's the fork-tailed drongo. Oh, that was a bunting that flew. Now just there on the far left. Is it a bunting?
It's that way.
Oh, it's down on the grass. Yes, it is a bunting. Golden-breasted bunting. In the grass somewhere. There is just on the edge of the road. Really beautiful little bird with a golden breast. You can start to hear some of the bird song from probably at least a dozen species, but I've got to find them. There was a chagra that just landed, but it's being a chagra, it's dived into some thicker foliage. You can hear hornbills in the distance. And cisticolas shouting. Morning, Lisa. Lisa sent a tweet asking, well, more or less saying that some of the bushes look quite green, but some look greener than others. Well, it's different species of plants, Lisa. They have different metabolisms and, of course, different colored leaves. Dividing up light spectrum. I'm going to try and go forward a little bit. There was a chin spot batis up there as well. But I'm not too sure what you mean, Lisa, whether you're referring to the fact that some of them are starting to age and lose their leaves and some are staying green. There's just a variety of different times that plants do things because it just spreads the... how can I put it? They're just different requirements. I don't know if we can get the crombec on the edge of this torchwood. And they're quite fast moving and they're very tiny little birds. And it should be...
I lost it now.
It's coming the back of that branch though. And it's now dropped down into the raisin, but both of them have on their termite mound. And then into... I'd love to show you some of the smaller finches and things, but they move so fast that it would make you dizzy to try and follow them. But there, and that... It's the only little bird that you have that hasn't got a... It doesn't appear to have a tail. Little bird. Because, of course, there's the Bateleur snake eagle that, as an adult, has a much shortened tail. These are insect eaters, these little crombecs, and they're also very vigilant. They're very sensitive birds. They're one of the first birds to alarm, and they make a very shrill trilling sound when they're alarming. But they glean insects off of leaves and bark, and as you can see, cruising around the termite mound, trying to find something. Most of the birds that we hear have flown off, but there was just, every now and then, if you're lucky, you come across something called a mixed bird party, and it's a whole bunch of different species of birds that together form quite a safe environment, because they're all doing different things, they're all feeding differently, and yet sometimes they even feed on the same things. But there's so many eyes and ears that if there is a goshawk or any other predator like a snake or a cat, somebody's going to see it, and once they all start alarming, the predator actually becomes intimidated and gets chased away. squirrels. I can see there's another one higher up. Must be one of the adults. I wonder if these are two youngsters. Yellow tree. That's so cute. Hanging like a bat.
Give a little yawn.
Yeah, and it was stretching. It's this. I have to say that I've never really seen this before. I've seen squirrels sunning on a branch or a termite mound or a rock or something, but I've never seen them hanging by their back feet like that. Another one's doing the opposite. Can you imagine a bunch of squirrels watching humans on a climbing wall? Thinking how clumsy we must be. And those tiny little claws of theirs can cling to the tiniest cracks and scratches in bark. I mean, they're lucky. This is a knobthorn, and the bark is very rough. So and it's pretty. The way the bark flakes, it's pretty strong. It doesn't break away too easily. Although I'm sure every now and then they probably hook their foot on a piece of bark that breaks away. But sometimes on smoother bark trees and brick walls, they can climb vertically up brick walls. So those tiny little claws can hook into anything. Knobthorns, I'd say, probably one of squirrels' favorite trees for living in, because the thorn crown above them does give them a lot of protection against aerial predators. There are often a lot of holes in the knobthorns. And of course the bark is squirrel friendly. Baobab's got a very smooth bark, but squirrels still manage to climb up them. Well, happy sun tanning, squirrels. Let us know if you see any cats. You'll have to shout pretty loud. That one up top's also stretching now. A rush of blood to the head. Who sang that song? I'll think of it. Maybe it's just part of the lyrics. I'm thinking of that now, the squirrel hanging upside down and stretching like a cat, or like a squirrel. So these two lions, I mean, it looks like they came all the way from Gowrie, Maine, crossed right past Djuma in probably was less than 20 minutes that it would have taken them. In fact, maybe even quicker, to get from the southern boundary across the northern boundary during the night. My plan was to main boundary, but there's another road just parallel to this. I want to go head back north on that same road. And I've just had a question from Tina. Tina was saying that in February when Tara was here, she went to an older hyena den. This is just off Cheetah Cutline, Leadwood Road. And if we go down the bottom, get a view. When we get to the bottom end of Cheetah Cutline, that is where it is. So yes, the leopard tracks going against the lion tracks. It's interesting. Let's see if we can find a spot where I can show this to you. No, it's not going to work. Yes, down the bottom there is where we'll go and have a look at that old hyena den. It hasn't been active for quite some time now. In fact, I don't think it's been active since Tara was here. And that was, I believe there was lion activity around the den. When Tara was here, I was away. Morning, Diane, from Michigan, wanting to know if that was a long-billed cromback. Yes, it was, Diane. This leopard could be Karula. Went down and up again. And the lion tracks are here too. Sleeping here. It would seem that somebody, or it could be there's a bit of confusion why we can't go and see the lion. It's not Arathusa airstrip that they're at. It's an airstrip on Buffelshoek or Torchwood. And it's an airstrip out of our jurisdiction. I think some folks might have thought that it was at Arathusa airstrip, but they were on this road, which is Cheetah Cutline, and they walked north, and they just carried on walking north. So if you take this road, because the leopard's gone down there. Definitely went down Leadwood Road. I'm time to go around the other way if we're going to go past the hyena den. At the hyena den, but we're going to cross over to Scott and see what he's got. And he'll come back to me shortly.
Welcome back, everyone. What we're looking at here is an extremely clever yellow-billed hornbill. Now, it's come to the perfect place to start your day if you are a hornbill. It's sitting on the chimney of a termite mound. And this is providing it with both warmth as well as food. It was just yesterday we were chatting about how there's so much heat given off from the farming that these termites are doing within the mound of sand that you can see the hornbill sitting on, and all this excess heat gets expelled out of the termite mound through the chimneys. On a cold morning like this, it makes for a perfect heater, and the hornbill would have used its beak to knock open the top of that chimney a little bit more and excite the soldiers.
Yeah, thanks very much for the knowledge.
And it is now feeding on them and keeping warm at the same time. So it's a wonderful place for them to start their day. It's incredible how big its beak is, yet it is very precise with it, and it is eating tiny little termites that we can hardly even make out. Then we can assume that he could well be anywhere in about a square mile radius of where we last had those tracks. And if we don't have any luck with the leopard, what we may do is try and pop into the hyena den sites again and see if any of the adults have possibly returned. So that is the plan for now. And while we continue searching for this leopard, I think Mark's arrived somewhere and would like to show you something. So we will see you a little bit later.
I was talking. Yeah. Oh, this is the hyena den we're talking about, and its top entrance is very, very active at the moment. That the bones that used to be around the top entrance, in fact, there's probably more than one den here, unless the different entrances all lead to the same chamber. It's very difficult to tell unless we put a camera down there, which is very difficult. But there is another entrance, and just recently we had some warthog living here. There's probably porcupine living there too, but nothing at the moment. Anyway, so I want to carry on. I want to go around to Leadwood Road because this leopard is on the move, and I think it might be Karula. I'd like to go and try and see if it's come out down there, or if it comes out maybe twin dams. Hoping, because we are not having very much luck of late with our tracking and our catting. So maybe we ought to go back to Scotch. Crows that come over, we hear them from time to time. The other crows that we might have, or other call with the white-necked raven, is more associated with mountainous areas. To find my bird book. I'll show you. Of course, then we have house crows that are invaders from another world. Starlings are related to the crows. And then there's the small black crow, but I don't think I've ever seen a black crow here. If I can find some signs of cat, and we'll be coming back this way shortly. But anyways, hop onto Scott's vehicle and I'll be back with you shortly. Hope there's cat somewhere. Massive hyena.
Welcome back, everyone, and we're just enjoying a beautiful view from an elevated point here, close to the hyena den site. And isn't it a beautiful morning? In a very, very beautiful part of this planet. Now, let's hope that our luck turns and the hyena are waiting for us when we get there. It's warming up now that the sun has been out for a while, so I'm probably going to strip off my big jacket when we get there. And it was one of the colder mornings we've had this morning. But typically, like most winter's days, they are clear skies and it does warm up. Interestingly enough, when I was tracking the leopard earlier, we found some tracks of a hyena dragging something. So who knows, maybe the hyena stole the kill that the leopard had made and made off with it. It's not unheard of. It happens quite regularly here, actually. Wow, we are in luck, and it looks like the hyena have, in fact, had a very large meal. This you will see very shortly. the bellies of these two adults are extremely full. This one not as much. The other adult, possibly it's just the angle they're lying at, appears to have fed on a little bit more. Now where is the leopard, guys? Where did you leave him? Judging by the size of the tracks, it looked like a young male leopard that we were tracking. Anyway, it appears the hyena could well have robbed him of his kill. It was tricky to tell if there was leopard tracks in the area because there were so many hyena tracks up and down in the area of the drag mark. And it was find any remains. And it was bring back bones and parts of kills to the den sites for the cubs to chew on. But at the moment, as you can see, nobody's chewing on anything and everyone's fast asleep. The two little cubs that you can see in the top of the picture are from one litter, and this one, a little bit closer, is from a previous litter, so it's slightly older, the bigger cub, maybe a month or so, at a guess. This individual's got a very distinctive notch in its ear. And it looks like a male. It is hard to distinguish male from female, but the current position the two of them are lying in helps us to take a calculated guess. That is a big old female, and females are often bigger than the males in hyena society, and also more dominant. But their appendages look very, very similar. This one here looks to be the male, though, for obvious reasons, but the females also have, again, similar appendages. We will wait here, and hopefully they may decide to wake up and play around. These cubs can often get excited and nag their mother for the opportunity to nurse, but they may have already had their feeding time before we arrived, and hence the sleepy, calm environment we're witnessing now. Just got a comment through from Chris on Twitter saying that The cubs look tired, and that could be because they are not old enough to run with the clan. And that's a very good point. Only one of the cubs has been seen away from the den site at a kill, and that was a couple of weeks ago with Brent, and it was the bigger of the two cubs. That's not to say that every time the clan moves now it will join along. It may join every now and then, but not necessarily every time, and we'll only be able to prove that when we see it out and about. So it's not necessarily that they are tired from running around with the clan. It could just be that they are still waking up after a long night in the burrow. But it is a good point and good observation that could be true. But they're still very small, these hyena, and it was surprising to see a hyena of this age heading to a kill, even though it does happen. It doesn't happen very, very often that I've seen in this area. It'll still be a few more months before we are seeing these cubs regularly heading out with the clan. It's still very dangerous for them at this size and age to be out and about, as unlike leopard cubs who can scramble up a tree and escape, and unlike lion cubs who have the protection of their pride, if hyena bumped into anything dangerous, those cubs would be doomed. Just got a question through from Marianne in Albuquerque. Good morning. Marianne would like to know, how long will young hyenas stay with their mothers? Now, if it's a female, it will become a princess essentially. Hyenas are unique in that the females are dominant in the clan over the males, and therefore in this matriarchal society, the youngsters are born into the same role as their mother and will therefore become alpha female when it's their chance. Males could well move off to different clans and will move off to different clans, which is really interesting, as most predators will start feeding on meat from 3 months and by 6 months be completely weaned off. Whereas hyena are a little bit different and rely on their mothers for longer. Well, I'm happy to hear that Joe is really enjoying this sighting, and she sent through her feelings on Twitter. And if any of you would also like to send through questions or thoughts, please do so. You can hashtag Safari Live on Twitter or send an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. And if any of you have just joined in the last few minutes, this is live. This is happening right now. And also interactive. So send through your questions and we'll do our best to answer them for you. wouldn't it be interesting to know what they're hearing and what they're smelling? Every now and then they are picking up their heads. Their sense of smell and hearing is so much better than ours. And you can't help but imagine what it would be like to have such good senses. Well, I must say a very, very big thank you to the viewers who are posting pictures on Twitter of when these little cubs were still tiny black fur balls. And that is the colour that hyena are when they're born. It's a very dark brown or charcoal black. And slowly over the months they lighten and the spots become prominent. And at around 3 months of age you can start seeing spots. These are probably closer to 4 or 5 months old now, the two that you're looking at. And it has been really wonderful to watch these cubs grow. They can sometimes be very inquisitive and come right up to the vehicle, checking us out, but it actually hasn't happened for a while, possibly because our timing's been off, and often when we come here the den site has not been active. We're really happy this morning though, because it has been a while since we've enjoyed their company. And it appears that this one cub is giving us a little performance. They are so cute. And these cubs can do a lot of great PR work for hyena, who have, for some reason I'm not too sure exactly what it is, got a lot of bad publicity over the years, and a lot of people subconsciously have this dislike for hyena for no apparent reason. They form a very important part of the ecosystem. And that role in the ecosystem is to ensure that nothing is wasted at kills. They sometimes do steal from leopard and lion, but occasionally lion and leopard will perform the same act towards the hyena, so it does vary from time to time. But what they are specially designed for is crushing through bone that both lion and leopard are not capable of doing. Hyena have got incredibly strong jaws, and not only the jaws, but their digestive system is also capable of processing this bone. Therefore ensuring all the nutrients get dispersed back into the environment, which is critical. Well, that lady's got a lip caught on her canine, and it's making for a very funny face. And the little cub behind is just trying to get comfortable there, possibly trying to get rid of some fleas or an itch on its back. What can you hear? The two adults both lifted up their heads simultaneously there. Possibly other hyena, possibly alarm calls, lion, leopard. Those are all sounds that would get the attention of these hyena. And are these two little cubs going to start them on the move? One of the hyena's defense mechanisms against fleas is by changing their den sites. So they've only been back at this den site for about a week and a half, 2 weeks now. They had moved from here a few months ago. It's another den that they use. Spent a few months away, and Mother Nature naturally then cleans out their old apartments, and all the ectoparasites and fleas will move out as there are no hosts for them. That way, when they come back a few months later, they've got a clean home, and it looks like the games have begun. And the mother got caught up in it there immediately. I think that is their mother.